my thesis on Buster Keaton and absurd comedy. Buster Keaton was a comedian, filmmaker, and actor from the silent era of film, like around the roaring 20s.
Okay.
I edited a video essay expressing his use of absurdity in his gags and his contribution to a genre of film that I have coined queer comedy. Think of your Will Ferrell or Eddie Murphy films. As a fan of film comedy, the genre fascinates me because of our seemingly unimportance of them. According to an article by the Duke Chronicle, in 2008, comedies made up 21% of the box office market share. In 2024, this was down to 10%. 10% of movies in the theaters making money were comedies. We are so removed from the wacky 80s or the raunchy 2000s where these films were successful in the movie theaters. So I've decided to focus on a time in our film history where comedy was and is still seen as cinema. So one day I found my main source, the Film Comedy Reader. This was a collection of essays about early comedy, and in one essay in particular, Low Comedy as High Art, this was an interview by Malcolm H. Oettinger with Keaton. When I read this, I had to make a counter argument that while Buster's films might have been nonsense, they did reach your heart through laughter. I also suggest in my thesis that absurdity and surrealism are related and that they both defy normal storytelling and logic. So then I came up with my research and analysis of his films. I came up with my thesis statement. Buster Keaton invokes humor in his films through absurdity and surrealism in his pursuit of what I have coined pure comedy. So I chose to edit a video essay because of the aspect of filmmaking I love the most, the editing. I love the process of video editing, and video essays inspire and fascinate me, so I wanted to give it a try myself. I have such a deep appreciation for film's editing, but in my thesis it isn't a subject in it, so I did enjoy and appreciate being the editor in my own project. My favorite part of the process was choosing the music, which I do at the end. At this point of the process, the video feels complete. So my video essay that I'll be presenting here today is called Buster Keaton and Absurd Comedy, a video essay. In this video, I suggest that Buster Keaton invokes humor in his films through absurdity and surrealism in his pursuit of what I coined pure comedy. I wanted to connect Keaton to being an important contributor, even a pioneer, into what we've seen in the funniest movies from contemporary comedy. I really hope you enjoy.
If you go back and press share and then put anybody with a link.
It's already like that.
That's
This happens
it.
to me every time I try to share it. As poor Paige knows, or Destiny, any of them has had to be in my classes, so y'all are all good.
It looks like I don't want people to see her.
Professional.
It's my Meredith account, I don't really. Privacy reasons. In the silent era,
There you go.
In the silent era, there were three famous and innovative comedians: Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton, and Harold Lloyd. All talented actors and filmmakers, most known for their distinctive style. Chaplin, who I bet you know, stands alone from the other two because of how he combined comedy
We're
with
really in the
emotion.
movie.
Yeah. Most about Chaplin and his films, I decided to focus on the comedian who never smiled, Buster Keaton. When comparing Chaplin, Keaton, and Lloyd, Malcolm H. Oginger wrote in his interview with Keaton, "Neither Keaton nor Lloyd attempt to reach your heart. They openly tickle you. For this reason, most of all, perhaps they are not in Chaplin's class, for Chaplin has always stood alone." He also wrote that Buster fails to reach the heart. His pictures elude sympathy. In my analysis, I found that yes, Keaton doesn't make you feel as hard as Chaplin does, but he did reach your heart through humor and the curiosity of his gags. Later in the interview, Keaton says to Oginger, "It's hook'em, and by draping it in different styles, you disguise it and bring results each time." Keaton, who performed his own stunts, described his visual comedy as nonsense. He goes on saying when they were filming, they would come up with some story and throw in as many gags as they could on the day. His impossible gags were perhaps unintentionally improvised. Improvised and meaningless. No morals, just funny gags and funny situations. In this video, I want to reinterpret and connect these impossible gags to modern surrealist and absurdist humor. Buster Keaton stood out to me because of his obvious pursuit to make you laugh. His impossible gags were physical jokes that were only capable in front of a camera and didn't exist in reality. Keaton's gags have their own structures, systems, and logic that exist independently of cinema. These gags mirror terms new and not so new. In the 1920s and 1930s, surrealists favored Keaton and referred to his films as involuntary surrealism. Surrealism in a comedy can break the bonds of logic and social decorum. The gag is beyond the rationality of reality and only exists in the film. Along with surrealism, there is absurdity. A basic understanding of absurdity is a joke where 2 + 2 = 5. You had no idea how you got 5, but you got it and it's funny. Confusion and incorrectness is funny. A modern take of absurdity is seen in the narrative of a film that is so illogical beyond explanations, or in a weird character who breaks the flow of a narrative with humor. In the context of Keaton, his films were surrealist and absurd in the physical gags themselves, not in the character or narrative. The gag breaks the flow of the rational narrative for humor. Absurdity and surrealism are concepts that make up what is so funny about Keaton's films.
Ah, that's sweet.
Concepts to expose the humor of the film's irrational world. The use of absurdity and surrealism contributed to Keaton being one of the many on the pursuit to make pure comedy. Pure comedies are films filled with jokes, characters, and situations with the motive to only make you laugh. It's subjective. You know it when you see it. Keaton's obvious impact on comedy can be seen in the films of Wes Anderson and the absurdity of the Blues Brothers. Pure comedy has changed since Keaton's films, but the idea of evoking humor is still seen in films like Airplane, Dumb and Dumber, and Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Keaton reaches the heart of his audience by evoking and exposing the humor of a situation. His use of absurdity and surrealism makes his films pure comedy. The nonsense, confusion, and irrationality makes his films funny. This pursuit of pure comedy has trickled down into the films we've seen in the funniest movies from the height of contemporary comedy. Many have interpreted Keaton and found meaning underneath the hokum. But what if there's no meaning? What if the purpose was only laughter? Gags themselves are built for entertainment purposes only, and furthermore, for entertainment purposes that end the moment the sketch ends. Humor can relieve feelings of frustration, anxiety, or hostility, and are unstable without humor should be an important role in our humanity and value. A film being meaningless doesn't mean it should be deemed bad or narcissistic, but it means we should enjoy how it makes us feel. Meaningless and absurdity is pure comedy and wonderful cinema. I agree. And just to wrap up here, at the end of my research, I realized that at the heart of my thesis was to express that because a film might be meaningless or absurd doesn't mean that it isn't important. It means that it deserves recognition. And it means importantly, like in all films, we should enjoy how it makes us feel. Thank you. Thank you for laughing. Any questions? Yes.
First of all, I just want to say, excellent video, and I hope you'll be making more. Like, will you be posting things like this? I encourage you to.
I've already posted like kind of short things, not video essays, but just like mostly nature. I like filming nature.
Yes, they're beautiful.
My Instagram. What's my Instagram? Dreamerzone. Dreamerzone.5. I'm private, but I'll say
Perfect. Also, the question I'll attach to that is, what do you think, why do we as people love comedy and absurdism?
Well, because it makes us laugh and it's a great release from whatever, from life, and for a moment you get to just be a part of the silliness and laugh at absurd characters, or even yourself if you can identify with the characters. So I think that we just, as humans, we love to laugh and love to feel good.
Can you tell us what the music was and where you found it? Yeah.
Great choice.
Yeah. It was a free royalty sound from Pixabay. It was an amazing find because originally I had found one that I thought was perfect from Adobe, but then I didn't have it for free and I couldn't use it. So and then I tried this one and it just worked out.
It really fit, yeah.
Absolutely love it. Thank you.
Wonderful work, Destiny. You had so many films, contemporary films, to choose from. How did you make your selection of what clips to show?
Question. For the contemporary films, I had gone online and looked for a list, but they were mostly just my own analysis and my own personal experience. Most of these films I watched growing up with my family, and yeah, they were just perfect. I think that was much more of the film analysis part of my research. Any other questions? Dr. Rock?
So good, Destiny. This is just a comment. It strikes me, talking about the absurd. I don't know much about Western Keaton or his movies. That was so cool. But you're talking about the absurdity of it, but also it just seems to me so smart at the same time. Like, how does he put all that together? The physical comedy aspect of it. So it's just a comment. I don't know if it strikes you as that way as well.
It does. A source that I also used talked about how it was just mostly improvised, and it was mostly just him trying to figure out what was the funniest way to fall. He was also, in his childhood, grew up in vaudeville, which is like this sort of circus kind of family, and So he literally grew up just falling, and so it was just something that he was used to and knew and wanted to do it for film. And yeah, I say it's genius. I don't know if he would. He said it was hook'em. It was just nonsense.
I even like the trucks and how the trucks come.
Yeah,
with
it's
the
fascinating.
tracks and- yeah.
It's fascinating. Yeah, filming technique for the time. Yeah.
This might be Destiny outside of the purview of which you were looking at, so please just disregard us. So, but I wonder because just absurdity, and absurd is just one of my favorite words because the word sounds absurd, like it's just almost like an onomatopoeia thing, which I know not apples to apples, right? But have you seen, or even just in your vast knowledge, just as a film scholar, it seems like, right? Do you see any correlation between just the absurdity of life or like social issues and just difficult times and a rise in absurdist comedy or absurdist film? Right? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
I think Anchorman, which was one of the films that I showed, I think it does that to a T of just mocking outlandish news anchors and trying to make fun of them. And I think that those kind of comedians, Will Ferrell, they do such a great job at it in trying to bring out the absurdity of certain characters, even if it's exaggerated. It's funny. And I think it points a finger at society just a little bit. Yeah. Also, SNL is very absurd. Saturday Night Live,
And even explaining the initialism.
It's an amazing show, and it's all absurd. It all points a finger at whatever is happening. Like right now, there are a lot of cold opens about Donald Trump right now in the office at SNL, and it's just making fun of politics.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question.
In which ways would you say that this form of comedy has changed throughout the years, and what do you like about it?
I think that from in Buster Keaton's time, it was more of, like I said, the funniest way to fall, the funniest way of a gag per se, of how to, like physical comedy, right? That was the way to get across comedy on the screen. You couldn't talk, so it was in that way, and those things were absurd. Now you have dialogue. Now we're much more aware of things happening in the world to make fun of, and I think, like I said, an example of, I'm just gonna choose Anchorman again. No, I'll choose, Anchorman again. It's absurd in the characters themselves and the jokes they tell and their role in the films. Like Brick, who played Steve Carell played Brick. His character was just, all his dialogue was just kind of random, absurd. Like I Love Lamp out of nowhere, and I think in that way it's changed. And I don't know. I prefer them both. I think visual comedy is very funny, which is where they
Like a Tom and Jerry.
yeah, like a Tom and Jerry. Yes, that's an answer. That's my brother.
I was wondering, what introduced you to the world of Buster Keaton and silent film and comedy, that kind of thing?
I took an intro to film course here with Dr. J over there, and we talked about history a little bit and talked about Charlie Chaplin. And at first, my focus was Charlie Chaplin because it's Chaplin. And then I found Buster Keaton, and I just found his films so much more funny, and they just had something that I think we're missing nowadays in comedy, like away from the raunchy 2000s comedy. And presently, I think we should go back to physical comedy. And yeah, did I answer your question?
That was perfect, and I totally agree. I love it. That was a perfect response. Yeah.
So sorry about this short attention. You have to wrap it